Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, stories, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And today we are going to be reviewing the much anticipated film for us, Predator Badlands. And we are joined by two very special guests, Randy and Kris from the Media Lit podcast. Welcome, Randy and Kris. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, take it away, man. You go first.
Oh, geez, you're so kind, buddy. My name is Kris Ingersoll. I am the grateful co-host of the Media Lit podcast with my dear friend Randy.
Absolutely. And I am the other host of said podcast, Media Lit, where we treat each piece of media like great literature. Much like Movies and Us, what drives us is how do stories connect people. So the fact that we get to be here and share a story with both of you is incredibly exciting to me. I cannot wait to dive into it.
Awesome. Yeah, we got a chance to pod with both Randy and Kris talking about Tar. So go check out their show. Go listen to that episode. It was a really great conversation. I feel like we unpacked so much of it, and yet there was still so much more because that movie's incredible. But we are back with a very different. We've swung all the way to the other end of cinema, I think, with Predator Badlands. So Sarah, do you want to kick us off with an IMDb summary for this movie?
Sure. A young predator outcast from his clan finds an unlikely ally on his journey in search of the ultimate adversary.
All right, that's a lot of vagaries, which I really love because I hate when the IMDb summaries give everything away. It's like an unlikely companion, a bit greater than, what is it? Something adversary? Very good. I appreciate that.
In his search for the ultimate adversary.
The ultimate adversary. Yes. Okay, so let's start off actually with thoughts about just the Predator, or your relationship to the Predator brand in general. I think that will probably inform somewhat of how you view this film. So I'm curious, Randy or Kris, do you want to share a little bit? Are you fans of the Predator franchise? Or you're I go to see them, they're pretty cool, but we'll check it out. Ready, fall, and spectrum.
So I've never gone super deep on the Predator. For me, for a very long time, it was just the original film and nothing else. It was Arnold. It was we are in the jungle. We are doing our darndest to stay alive. And I think that film works. It knows exactly what it is. It doesn't try to do anything more than what it is. I really love it. It deserves to be a classic. And somehow I just never got to watching the sequels. And I think as I started to hear about Alien versus Predator, I'm like, Alien's one of my favorite movies of all time. Predator is cool, but this feels like a gimmick, and I never rushed to it. But then in 2022, they dropped Prey. And that is just such an incredible resurrection of the series. They brought in just the perfect number of nods to the original while still, mixing up the format and the battle. And I'm so excited to see where this series can go. Certainly, Predator Badlands is trying to take us into a whole new direction. I think there are pros and cons to that, but I'm really excited to be invested in this series again, because I will certainly be back at the cinema the next time something drops.
Which we'll talk about. It seems like they're whetting our appetite quite well with that ending. So we'll talk a little bit about that for sure. Kris, what about you? What's your relationship to the franchise? Where do you fall on that spectrum?
Somewhat similar to Randy,
Okay.
I would say. It's a fairly casual relationship with the franchise. I actually saw Danny Glover in Predator 2 first.
Nice.
And as a young person, and I remember thinking that was crazy. That movie's not good in hindsight, and it's nothing compared to the original. But I found the Predator so intriguing with the technology and the invisibility and the idea that the humans have to kind of go primitive. All of that really worked for me. So then I was told, I'll never forget, I had an older neighborhood friend. It was a sleepover. He's like, you need to see the first Predator. And we went back and we watched the first one. And it's just perfect 80s, 90s action movie magic, right? I mean, and so it's always been a movie monster I've really held in high regard, the Predator. Unlike Randy, I was very here for Alien versus Predator. That idea to me seemed pretty perfect. I had a really special place in my heart for like B movie cinema.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a certain type of entertainment you're looking for from those kinds of movies. And I remember hearing Alien versus Predator. You're damn right, it's a gimmick, Randy, and it's a gimmick that I was here for. So, but that being said, I didn't like remain some passionate fan of the franchise. I don't have a Predator tattoo by any means, but I was really excited to see the sort of almost prestige turn for the franchise with Prey. And while this maybe doesn't maintain the same level of prestige, I'm still really interested in watching a maturation of this franchise and watching them become more creative with how they tell these stories.
You know, after you put it that way, Kris, I'm kind of surprised it didn't work on me because I usually love a crossover so much. Though usually we're talking about sitcoms, so maybe that's the difference. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. Predator's a far cry away from a sitcom, that's for sure.
You might have been in your cool guy jaded years. Like,
Yeah, that must have been it.
I'm too indie rock for a mainstream collaboration like Predator and Alien.
Yeah, I've got my headphones. I've got my glasses. Just looking sad. Yeah. I'm going to go watch the Boondock Saints.
Exactly.
The angst tears, yeah. Maybe worth a revisit now. Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, so kind of similarly, before Prey came out, I was very excited for Prey, but I hadn't seen the original Predator movie, so I watched that as part of my homework before watching Prey, and then of course I just had to watch the second one because I had so much fun with the first one, which is not as good of a movie. I still haven't gotten around to seeing the other Predator films, which I've read are worse than those first two. So I like the Predator. I think it's a very interesting creature. Loved Prey. So everybody needs to go and watch Prey because it's great. And like you guys, I'm really curious to see where this franchise is going to go next.
All right. Well, I'm going to round us out with this love for Prey that we all seem to deeply share. I hadn't seen any of the Predator movies. I think it was just like, it's aware of it. It's in like pop culture, but just didn't get around to it. Saw Prey, was like, oh my gosh, this is an incredibly well done action. It gave me hope for action movies again, that it can be done well. It was like kind of in a time period where we're getting so much like big CGI, really like exhausting action. So warmed my whole soul getting to watch Prey. I think that year, and we do a top 10 list of films that we watched from the year. So not just films that were released in the year, but of the year that we got to see. I think Sarah, Prey was like number 4 or 5 on my list. It was very high. I like fell off that movie. And then we recently did a watch along of the original Predator movie. And so that's out now. Go watch that. It was a good time if you want to watch along with us. But I was really curious to see what they were going to do with Predator Badlands. Like, could they capture the magic of Prey and channel it again? And I'm curious to hear all of your thoughts about that. But first, let's do our one-sentence summaries for Predator Badlands. Let's get into it. Randy or Kris, as our guests, do you want to share your one-sentence summary for this film?
Sure. So I said a hunter, a dreamer, and a lover find family in a deadly place.
Well done.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. Randy, what about you?
I love that, Kris. I've got like 4 of them here, 2 that I can't decide between it. So I was hoping you'd narrow it down for me. I'll
give us the one you're going to go with, and then we want to hear the honorable mentions.
All right, perfect. So here's the one I'm going to go with. AI is the ultimate predator. It will exploit its surroundings with ruthless efficiency, even if that means destroying an ecosystem or radicalizing an outcast from the fringes of society.
Nice.
I mean, just
I
accurate.
felt that one.
Yeah.
Disturbingly accurate.
I just had to do a presentation today at work about AI agents, and that one resonate. I love it. Okay, so what were the runner-ups?
An exiled Yucha hunter outshines his ancestors by collecting the head of the ultimate apex predator, a soulless corporation.
Nice. Nice.
So good. Oh, nice. Do you have
I
one
don't.
more, or do you want to say?
I'll give
Yeah.
you one more. Just
Okay, hit us with one more. Yeah.
what if the Predator founded the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Wow, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's really
the
good. That's really good.
So good. Sarah, let's hear it.
Mine is being a tool isn't always the worst thing.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm not worthy.
Well done. That was really good. Mine is stick it to the man very seriously.
Love that.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm so curious to hear y'all's thoughts about this film, especially knowing you shared the same passion for Prey. This is Dan Trachtenberg back again, which gave me so much hope for this movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, the man that did it could do it again. Did he do it again? Did this land for you? Rainey and Kris, go ahead, share a little bit.
Yeah, this totally worked for me in different ways than Prey did, but I still was connected to this in so many more human ways than I'd connected to any Predator films prior to Prey. And so in that way, it was still a successful and wonderful time at the cinema.
At a high level, without giving away any spoilers, are there any of the specific, like, that human connection points that you felt with the film that were different maybe than you've experienced? Not just that like raw carnal action, but yeah, there's a lot more like heart in this film.
Yeah, well, it's no secret that the Predator is our main character for the first time ever. And so watching the Predator interact with any other creatures in a positive manner, rather than simply a deadly one,
Yeah.
is a lovely injection of humanity that's new for the franchise.
So good. Randy, what are your initial thoughts?
I am of two minds. I was trying really, really, really hard not to like force my love of the original film and Prey onto this one because it was trying to do something different and I was trying to meet it where it was. So on the one hand, you know, Elle Fanning is a revelation. Love what she brings to this film. That heart that we're talking of, she deserves a lot of the credit for bringing that to the surface. But I think the thing that like made me a little more cold on it was just you need like a sense of gravity in physics that I didn't feel in this one the same way that I did in Prey. Like Prey has a few CGI moments that could be stronger, but for the most part, I don't feel it because it's being paired with decisions that make me like feel the texture of the world. And we kind of hit Legolas in the Hobbit trilogy levels a couple times with the Predator, and I wasn't feeling a couple of those moments. You can't just Legolas through the trees. I've got to feel the heft. When he does it in Prey, you can like, you know, you get like a branch falling, like you can hear the thud, you can feel it, and I wasn't like feeling it the same way, even though I was in a theater versus watching it
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's like a nearly identical like pathway that Legolas takes in the Return of the King in that final battle sequence where he descends upon the giant elephant creatures.
The Oliphants,
Deck does onto a creature of sorts at the ending the fight sequence in this movie. Just like he's got like springs in his feet all of a sudden. Yeah. Okay, so overall positive,
fun
maybe
day
a little
at the
bit more
movies.
nice.
Yeah, fun day at the movies.
Sarah, thoughts about Predator at a high level?
Yeah, I had a ton of fun with this. There's some flaws in it. It's really tropey, all of that. But I still had a great time. I was like, yes, I'm here for this. I'm having a blast. So yeah, had a great time at the movie. Would recommend going to see this. There's some fight scenes that I was like, I don't know that this is working for me. And then there are other ones where I was like, oh, this is cool. Give me more of this. Inject this into my veins. So yeah, just a great time. And I appreciate the way that this film pays homage to the original film without being, at least for me, like too over the top with it. So there's just like little details that I feel like you can see the intentionality and the love that went into this, that is like, hey, this is part of this series, without needing to do like a carbon copy or like a complete reboot of what was done before. And so I just appreciate that intentionality and that creativity, even though there are some parts of this that didn't quite work for me. But on the whole, had a great time. Would totally watch again.
Yeah, I think plus one to the sentiment of like great time at the movies, which is
Yeah.
just like always a win no matter what. You just walk out like
Yeah.
kind of glowing, like I had a really fun time. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think that I had really high hopes and expectations for this film. There's a specific scene that I think captures in that one scene a lot of the magic of what Prey does,
Yeah.
especially from the pacing, construction, cinematography, sound effect design of an action set piece and sequence. It's like smack dab, I think, like roughly in the middle of the film, which we'll talk about. But that scene like shines to me, and I think it's more in the back half of the film where we get more of the bigger CGI set pieces. There's
Mhm.
things that I feel like we've seen before in the slew of other films and action films and sci-fi films that it's just been a little bit more done. Also, a great time, but just maybe a little bit
Yeah.
more done to me
Mhm.
before. Whereas compared to Prey, there's everything about that was fresh. So I think I'm overall probably a little bit mixed. This makes me
Yeah.
want to go watch Prey again. But
Yeah.
I respect how matter of fact that this film is.
Mm.
There's so much opportunity for it to lean so heavily into the cheesiness and the
Yeah.
Mhm.
emotions, and it kind of does the right amount without overextending to the point where this becomes like a different movie and a different franchise. This like franchise knows what it is and is very unapologetic about not giving you a big dialogue heavy sequence
Yeah.
in the end when there's a confrontation between two
Mhm.
characters that was a long overdue confrontation, right? So I really love how much the film knows what it is
Yeah.
and
Mm.
is
Yeah.
doing that. It knows itself very well.
Well said. Very
One
well said.
one relevant tidbit from my trip to the theater. This is a
Yeah.
PG-13 predator. It's a relatively
Mhm.
bloodless predator. And there are
Yeah.
pros and cons to that. But I am an English teacher and I ran into a couple of my students at the cinema and I got
Oh.
to talk to them about it at school the
Oh.
next day. So like I can really see how successfully this film might bring in someone from a new generation, and then they have that conversation
Oh.
that Kris had back in the day. Now you got to go back and watch
Yeah.
Predator.
Mm. Mm. So it sounds like the kids' overall sentiment is like, this was really cool. This was rad.
I mean, it was only a couple
Mixed bag.
students, and they
Okay.
weren't over the moon, but like they're like, no, I really liked it. That
Okay.
they
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
students I get along with, but they're not necessarily like the most into like
Yeah.
nerding out with their teacher. Uh,
Yeah.
Right.
not
Okay.
not like the students who appeared on our Media Lit podcasts. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's give a spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen Predator Badlands yet, go check it out in the theaters. It's a great time. Like go
Mhm.
get a popcorn, bring your snacks, like
Yeah.
post up because you'll be taken on a really fun journey. So we're about to dive in. There's lots to talk about. Lots of really great world building choices, scene choices, character choices for us to dive into. So let's start with something that I think that is quite unique about the lens and the story that Dan and his team chose to focus on, which is to tell it from the story of the predator. So, Kris, I'm curious to
Yeah.
hear like how that landed with you. It sounds like that really stood out and shined for you, but just kind of switch POV all of a sudden from the very beginning too. It doesn't happen along the way. It's from the
Mhm.
start. We know whose story we're in.
It. I would say it worked mostly to make him our
Okay.
main character and to try and humanize the predator this way. I
Mm.
think that spending time with their culture and appreciating more about what makes a
Yeah.
yautja, like what makes
Mhm.
a predator. We've only ever encountered this creature as the ultimate killing machine.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it would be really easy to chalk that up to like a violence, an inherent violence in its
Mm.
personhood. But it's just a warrior cultures like we've seen throughout human history for
Mhm.
forever, right? And so
Mm.
immediately just that, seeing a relationship between these two brothers to start the film and seeing how combat is a rite of passage, it's a form of communication. It's such an important
Mm.
part of who they are as a people, not just a means to
Yeah.
glory or a means to feeding themselves even. That worked really, really well for me.
Mm.
Um, Maybe what worked a little bit less well, and it's just a function of the character, you don't get a lot of expressiveness from that face. They did their best, I think, throughout, but between a lack of intelligible language and a lack of like truly emotive expressions, I don't think that the humanizing of the Predator was 100% successful for me in this film. One aspect of the language subverts that take, though, because you can never can you understand what Deck is saying, except when he screams his brother's name. It's you can hear the vocalization of the name Quay when he screams, and there's something so moving in that. Like, that was the moment where I really connected to this character on a human level, when he was screaming for his brother as his father was doing this terrible, terrible thing. And throughout the movie, when you can catch him, he says that name Quay. It's not exactly the way it sounds to our vocalization in English, but you can hear the sound. You can hear him saying his brother's name, and that meant a lot.
That's so good. Yeah. I love that perspective, and how the film starts there too, and doesn't cut it in later through flashback, which could have been a choice they make. We see Predator out running around again on the planet, and then they do this in flashback. They start it and like almost ensure that the emotions are tugged on first, so that we're fully bought in. Because actually, when the movie started, I was like, I don't want to start this movie from his perspective. I want to see him in the mask. I want there to be the mystery, and then I can get to know him later. Like, don't show me all of it already. But it's that scene with his brother that I was like, oh man, I'm a goner. Take me on a journey now.
Yeah. Dad sucks. Sucks. Watching that brother stand up for Deck, yeah.
Sarah, Randy, I'm curious to y'all's thoughts on the story starting here and being told from this perspective.
I think it was really smart. Like, I was bought in. I love it when films like expand the world like this. We've seen at least in the Predator movies that I have seen, we've seen little glimpses of the Predator, little bits about, like the trophies and all of these things. So like we know like a fraction about this culture. And it was so cool to be just like dropped in and learn more about this group and how they function with one another. And I was so taken aback. I shouldn't have been, because it's a Predator movie, but I was so like, wow, they are brutal. Like, this is family stuff. And they're like, nah, you're a runt, so you have to be murdered. I was like, oh no. So to your point, Randy, Dad is the worst. He sucks. And I love how immediately I'm bought into Deck, because everybody's against him. His whole family is against him, except for his brother, who is now dead. So I'm like, okay, I'm rooting for you, my guy. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm on your team. So I just thought it was a really like visually cool, and I was interested in this world, and I was emotionally bought in. It absolutely worked for me.
Yeah. I think they made a lot of smart choices to help us get there. I said what I wanted to say about some of the CGI moments that didn't work for me as well. I'm kind of with Kris. Like, we are more or less stuck with this Predator design from the original film. I don't think it would have come out quite the way it did if it had come out in a slightly more modern age. We've streamlined it. But I actually wrote down like the face overall as a positive, because I was impressed that they got me to buy into it, because Predators look cool with their masks. When we get there, it's one of my favorite looks and moments in the film, for sure. But what they did that was really smart, though, was not only is he not wearing the mask so that we can see him emote, but like they lose the mask to take us out of all the Predator tropes. Like, we don't get the heat vision, we don't get our little target projector, the iconic thing, not right away anyway. We've got to spend some time without that. He's at a disadvantage. And they raised some interesting questions about this warrior culture, because one thing that's confused me about Predator mythology, despite the fact that I've not seen all of the films, is like there seems to be this sense of honor to it, yet they're always running around cloaked, which doesn't feel like the most honorable thing to me. Um, so the fact that like dad not only wants to kill his son, but he's just like, you should have killed him in his sleep. That was a little surprising to me that like that was the way
Mm.
you'd go about it. Yeah, I think we learned he can't, rise to the challenge or rise to the occasion himself by the end of the film. Maybe that's part of his own sort of
Mm.
cowardice. But as I'm talking, I'm kind of talking myself more and more into how much this did work for me. He
I love when
eventually
that
get
happens.
yeah, like I mean, he eventually gets his own sort of Dutch style prep montage, as if we're back in the original Predator. So,
Mm.
hey, it's fun, and his mission not so different from Prey, right? Hunt
Mhm.
hunt the prey that's hunting you. Was what's going down in Prey, and now it's more like bring back the biggest monster, but that similar sort of path toward proving yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved that like arming yourself with like the natural
Oh
world
yeah.
Mm,
piece of it. Like that was one
Yeah.
of my favorite parts of this.
So
And I think that's an example of what I think this film does really well is if you've seen the original Predator film, you know what's happening and you're like,
Yes.
ah, yeah, we're doing that. But the film doesn't have to be like,
hmm
hello, remember in Predator that this happened. Like the
Yeah.
film knows that if you've seen the original movie, you're picking it up. If you haven't seen the original movie, you're still having a great time because this makes sense. And it's really cool to see him go through the process of getting all his little natural gadgets so that he can
Mhm.
Yeah.
defeat the evil corporation. So that was one of my favorite parts. I thought it was done so well.
Totally. And if you're like paying attention throughout the film, to your point, Sarah, it's like it's pretty tropey. They're doing some things in movies that you've seen
Sure.
before in a way that works. So when you're watching him encounter
Mhm.
these things throughout the film, if that's going to come back, I bet he'll use that. You're kind of
Yeah.
clocking it all in real time, waiting for this eventual sequence that was just so successful.
Yeah, and I think it takes advantage well of using the CGI technology to create worlds that we can gawk at and be in awe at. It
Yeah.
makes for some really great entertaining sequences as well.
Mhm.
But that's part of going to the movies is to be like transported into worlds that you can like ooh and ah at. So some of those like wide shots of the razor grass fields, I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's so cool. But it also poses a really fun question for our protagonist that we're following, which is, oh, a new foe that we've seen presented from nature. How is he going to survive? He's pressed, and how is he going to survive again? What ways will he cleverly figure out a way to survive the next hurdle? And that's very much in the original movie as well. This is
hmm
he seems to be in a pickle, and how is he going to get himself out of it?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
time and time again, the visuals are so dynamic too. We get the razor grass, we get the big vines that seem to be incredibly menacing. We get the like what do they call it? The Luna bugs or something. It was a very
Yeah.
cute name
Yeah.
for a very not cute creature.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
encountering new foes, it's almost like fighting all of the little mini bosses, and so that he's ready
Yes.
by the end to
Yes.
fight the big boss.
He was like the ultimate predator training ground on this planet
Yeah,
Denna.
yeah.
It was almost Star Wars-esque in its successful rendering of these imaginative creatures in this incredibly breathtaking place. It really, I felt transported in a way that I usually only feel with a really great Star
Nice.
Wars moment. Yeah, some of these creatures were so well imagined and,
Mhm.
um, yeah, creatively violent. Like
Yes.
those needle spitting plants that
I
paralyze
love
you and then
those.
immediately regenerate their needles. Like that was a really cool
So
concept.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then having that human presence to kind of talk you through
Yes.
artificial intelligence. You get what I'm saying.
Mhm.
To bring some humanity to it, some life to it, some humor to it. Absolutely.
And even the like visual choice of having them puff out with the red like dust and smoke, I thought was so
hmm
smart to do because it's so visually interesting and dynamic. It feels like we're somewhere else, we're in a fantasy land, but also against the backdrop of all of the rest of the vegetation, it's so vibrant.
Mm.
So when he's running and they're puffing at him with the red, you can see time and space, and that creates really great action tension versus I was thinking about that scene from The Last Jedi with the red dirt underneath the ice planet,
Yes,
and you can
yes.
feel and see visually where they are based on the colors. And I thought that was a really great visual use of
Absolutely.
creating tension for the action. It was so
Great
cool.
comp.
Yeah. What's also neat about like him using the natural and as his organic weapons by the ending sequence is almost that he's rewarded for his natural curiosity too. You know,
Yeah.
like him by the river looking down at the plant and just trying things. It's very childlike in a lot of ways to just like take in your environment and be curious around it, which I think is also a really neat aspect about the way that like Deck is wired. I think if you throw another creature in here, they might just be barreling through the world, but he's kind of taking notice of things. And I wonder how much, his whole backstory of being like the forgotten one informs why he's like so observant about his environments.
I like too that maybe it's a more natural behavior as opposed to the violent bravado that he puts on when he's in battle. We hear his brother comment at the beginning of the film how he fights with this rage. He's like this unbridled rage monster in battle, and maybe that is it's a projection. That's who he thinks he should be as a Yautja, and like his more natural state is this strategic, kind of brilliant, slow, and considered type of being, which maybe makes for a better Yautja. Just ask his dad.
Yeah. You can't.
Well, and the other piece of that I love is that Thea isn't the only one that is like teaching Deck things, but he's also learning things as he goes too. And so you see that it's not just that he has absorbed this information from another. He hasn't just gotten it from the AI, but he's also interacting with these things and figuring things out as he goes too. So it reveals something about his character, not just that he like was able to like Google something and learn information.
Right. Like the explosive bug early on, it's one of the first creatures he encounters, and you watch, he kind of tilts his head a little. You see him clock the explosion. You see him like, oh, that was interesting. You see he files that away for later. Really good.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose there. And like that like essential hurdle you have to get over, how does the Yautja soften up? And I just love the fact that, he's getting played. He needs to be able to pretend he is using her as a tool. Meanwhile, she knows very well she's using him as a tool. And they're both almost equally surprised at how much they care when they get on the other side of it. We can tell that he's being manipulated, but you don't quite see, the shift is a little bit more subtle with the Elle Fanning character. So I love that they're like mirroring this desire to see each other as just tools, but they can't help but care about one another. That's kind of beautiful.
I loved that storyline, and I particularly love that they didn't overdo it too. Like, I don't know, in the hands of another writer, they have some scene where one of them is like wounded and yelling, and the other one comes and saves them. It's just like it's so over the top that it almost loses the emotional effect because it's so emotional, and you're like, okay, I don't know if I buy this. But there's this quiet care that they seem to have for each other that is not expressive at all. Maybe because I don't know, they are wired so differently by their natures to not like be pouring out their heart and soul, or like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think I loved how all of that emotion was there without having to be like bubbling and spilling over the surface throughout. Or there's not that big moment where one of them's left behind and the other goes all the way back to find them, and it's this big dramatic thing. It's very like restrained in its use of drama, which I always love.
Yeah, I love that, because similarly, we don't get the other side of the coin where there is the betrayal. It's not some big dramatic falling out and like this heartbreak and separation of the two. They're both pretty pragmatic about it. He's upset that he betrayed me, but it never becomes any sort of hindrance to their ongoing relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, restrained is a great word. I like that.
Yeah, like once Deck is captured, like you're just watching the stakes of the situation slowly dawn on each of them. And
Hmm.
it is just like
Yeah.
this subtle sort of like social maneuvering. Like, obviously I'm saying this because we're here with you, Jen and Sarah, but not unlike a Lydia Tarr trying to convince someone that the thing she wants is their idea. It's not
Hmm.
100% different.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I'm
Well
impressed that you
done.
got a Tar reference into this
Right.
conversation
Yeah,
about Predator
he's
Badlands. It's
deficient.
good.
You don't want this one, right?
Wait till he finds a way to
Um,
reference Gatsby later. You'll be really impressed.
I'm
oh,
ready.
I'm
I'm here
ready.
for
I'm
it.
It's always in the
ready.
chamber, man. It's been almost 20 years, so
The challenge will be how will Randy weave in Tar in every movie we get to bond together about now? Please
hey, it
accept
was
Yes.
the
that
challenge.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but yeah, you're right. They honestly recover pretty fast. I wish all human conflict could resolve that quickly. They're like, you
Yeah.
betrayed me. Yeah, I know. I had to. Yeah, well, you did too. Great. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's get ourselves out of the situation now and collaborate.
Right. Right.
But
Mhm.
I love that it's a reminder of the stakes too. Like we don't have time to do this whole conversation. I hate
Yeah.
Yeah.
that in movies. Like the stakes are supposed to be so high, and then they're like, let's have a long
Heart
talk
to
about
heart.
it. I'm like, no, get out
Hmm.
of there. And so Predator Badlands understands that, and these two characters understand that. And so they know, hey, we're in danger. We need to move. Let's do it. We don't have to talk. And I was
Yeah.
like, yes, let's go.
Do
Yeah.
you know the most egregious version of that I've ever seen? My wife
What?
was
Okay.
watching the show This Is Us,
Oh,
and
Oh,
there is a
yes.
scene where the house is literally on fire,
bro.
and the dad is like having like a 5-minute conversation with one of the kids, like in their bedroom, like he shut the door. That's all I could think of. Just
Oh my god.
Isn't that
That's
the
like, get out of the
awful.
scene?
house, get out of the house.
That's the scene. That's the flashback scene where he literally. That's the big thing that happens to that happens to him. Happens in that scene, right?
I believe
Yes.
so.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Well, in the aftermath, anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Emotional terrorism. That show is targeted
Terrible.
emotional terrorism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is why I have not watched that show.
It's
When
all
that was on, all
melodrama.
my friends were watching it and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I cry every episode. You have to watch it." And I was like, "That's not. Nope.
That sounds
I don't
Not
want
what I
horrible.
that.
want to do.
I don't need that."
That's not.
Give me a cozy mystery. That's what Sarah
That
needs.
is what I want.
That's what
Yes.
Sarah needs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather cry to Predator Badlands. I'm sure we'll get there.
Every time.
Yeah. I'm curious y'all's thoughts about the Tessa Thea storyline. Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? There's this whole bit around being sisters. There's also this whole bit around like humanity, like who one has somehow transcended beyond her design and the way that she is made, and the other is very much loyal and obedient to the way that she is made and created. So almost one like transcends, it becomes more human. The other is this faithful pawn of a machine. They're such foils for each other. Both their names start with T's. I'm like, oh, of course. Um, but yeah, tell me your thoughts about that storyline. So
I found it really, really interesting. Like, to your point, they're very different, right? One quote unquote sister has evolved. I think I called her a dreamer in my one sentence summary because she
yeah.
is. She's this like wide eyed, just like full of wonder type of being as she's encountering these creatures. And the other, to your point, much more beholden. But they both
Mm-hmm.
think that they are that because of the emotions they've been given. I was so shocked to hear Tessa later say, like, do you know why we were given these emotions? It's so we could use them to manipulate things, not so we could succumb to them. Whereas Tessa's experience is that no, this succumbing to them is the ultimate expression of our potential as these created beings
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah.
these emotions. That juxtaposition of their worked really, really well for me because they're both, to your point, coming from the same place. And I don't think we can put our finger on what differentiates them, what caused one to divert from the other than the kinds of things that make all of us divert. Like,
Yeah.
how many siblings grow up in the same household with all the same?
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of psychology that will say that none of us have the same parents, even if we're raised in the same household. But at the end of the day, there's just something, even twins, we're not
Yeah.
as identical as we might seem. right? So there's something
Yeah.
very deeply human about the fact that even these machines diverted in this way as they experienced life authentically as individuals. And then from a design standpoint, I just love the one dead eye for
Yeah.
Tessa. I know, like, it became later part of the disguise and then had a practical piece, but just from as a visual indicator that this one is a little less human than the other. The one dead eye worked beautifully to communicate that.
Now, like, the one thing before I answer this question, I don't know if I missed something or misheard something, but was anyone like just mildly thrown on the timeline there? Because I thought she had said she had been there for like 2 years or something, or was it months?
In
They've
the
been on the
vulture's
planet.
nest, right?
No, they've been on the planet for 2 months. She'd only been on the vulture's nest a little while. I think she and Tessa had only been recently separated.
Okay, that's where I got thrown, because then all of a sudden Tessa was like getting revived. But yeah, okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. But no, my thoughts are really similar to yours, Kris. I felt like they were designed to have a give and take. Like they almost needed that almost built-in conflict, right? Like I'm pretty sure Thea said like she was designed more to stay in the lab, like be quiet, be reflective. Tessa was geared more toward like field work. Um, and then the way I read that was that this sisterhood was becoming somewhat real. Tessa wanted to invite Thea out into the field. It went wrong, and I think when that, AI style programming kicked in, they learned really different lessons from that.
Yeah.
Thea saw
Interesting.
potential, and Tessa saw, nope, let's recalculate this because clearly this is a design flaw for me. And maybe some of that's just in the fact that they are truly sentient beings at this point. Maybe it's in the design of the program, probably somewhere in between those two things. But I love that notion, though. Like, even if it's an evil corporation that I would love to see taken down in this franchise at some point in the future, that's compelling to me, right? Because like learning comes through conflict so often. So I thought that was cool.
That they were intentionally designed to potentially have that friction so that they push each other to evolve, to become more complex, more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like I can almost
That's
imagine
interesting.
someone back at the Wayland Yutani Corporation. Like I can almost imagine there being two human employees, and one person is pissed that they didn't get the Callisk, and the other one is like, okay, our program is capable of transcending to this level. Now I need to study her.
I hadn't thought about it that way, Randy. That's really fascinating that they, because I had, my understanding was that they were designed similarly, more similar to Chris's. Like their natures were the same and that nurture caused them to change and diverge. But you're saying that perhaps their nature was also programmed to be slightly different and tempered with that one leads into a little bit more of that empathy because she was made to understand the creatures, as she says, and then the other one is designed to execute. And that's why there's this like conflict between them. That's so fascinating.
I just can't wait to see it again to see if that was a fascinating read for me or if I just misremembered how that scene went down. But I hope it was fun either way.
Or if you secretly work for Wayland Yutani and are like just a mad genius over here helping these AI evolve.
Well, if it makes you feel better, Randy, I read it similarly to you of that they look the same, but they were programmed slightly differently because their functions were different. So they obviously had different programming. So I guess we'll all have to watch it again and see who was right. Yeah, but
sounds like we were all correct in one way or another.
I mean, we all win.
Yeah.
But either way, I think Randy, you mentioned it earlier. Elle Fanning is great in this, and playing two different roles with such different personalities, and I think she really nails both of them. So just shout out to her for really selling those two characters.
And it would have been easy to do so by making one totally robotic while the other was more emotive, right? And some of that is in Tessa. She's a little bit more static and robotic, but she's not cold and emotionless. Even when you see her confronted with Mother and she has to choose to lie about the Predator, right? In that moment, like, you see the full gambit of the emotions to play over. There's the consideration of the consequence of the truth, and then the choice to lie, and something very human in that. So yeah, I was super impressed with Elle Fanning, her ability to distinguish these characters without relying on the easier aspects of their differences.
Actually, Kris, that's a really great point, which is there could be an argument that Tessa is more human as well because she knows how to lie. She figured out how to lie. She needed to cover up a mistake that she made. There was shame, which is very human, and needed to hide it. Theoretically, her programming is to be constantly obedient to Mother and give her all of the information no matter at what cost, because she serves Mother. That is her mission. But she kind of rebels in her way to try and figure out how to handle things herself and take care of it herself. So yeah, they become human in the best ways and the worst ways, perhaps, and divert.
That's actually almost a different kind of programming, right? Because that's right. Because Tessa gets the threat, like, if this doesn't end well, you're getting decommissions. Like,
right.
Thea's not working with that, at least knowledge.
Yeah.
Interesting.
One really great thing that I think Elle Fanning does in that scene when Tessa and Thea are talking to each other, and Deck is like lying there asking to be released. The way that what she does with her eyes in that scene is like absolutely incredible. Like there's so much warmth and like searching that you see in Thea's eyes to be like, this was my sister. Like, what happened? Like, there's so much softness and tenderness, and it's ice cold from the other end, from Tessa. And I just thought when the camera would cut back and forth between them, gosh, you just felt the difference in their presences from just what she's doing with her eyes. So I thought that contrast was so well done with what Elle Fanning does. Yeah. Okay, other big things from Predator Badland, choices that it makes that we wanted to talk about and highlight.
This movie's funnier than I expected it to be. There's some wonderful moments of levity in this film.
Yeah. Baby Callus proudly showing every limb that he cuts off.
That was when Baby Callus when Bud, let's call her by her name, Bud, she's mimicking Deck getting ready for bed, and you've got Thea like watching on adoringly and finding this whole thing just so charming, watching it rub Deck the wrong way, and that was so wonderful. That this moment of lightness, it was a rare moment of like quiet and calm in the film as we watch them make camp for the night. And yeah, Thea cracks a joke, Deck cracks a joke, Thea remarks on Deck cracking a joke. That was all so wonderful. Joking
did
predators.
You just make a joke? Like, cuts away. Camera cuts away. So good.
Yeah. Comedic Yautja was not on my 2025 bingo card.
Yeah, like that's probably like the most brilliant thing about what Trachtenberg has been building here is like we are watching, every, movie outlet trying to, squeeze every penny out of their franchises that they can. And they seem confused and lost when the charm is gone, when it's not hitting the same way. There don't seem to be a lot of people who know what the next step should be. And like we're watching this franchise that had become, maybe it was still fun, but it had become a little bit of a joke. And it's something that has somehow built a little world where they can be as prestige as they want. They can be as fun as they want. They can jump anywhere in time and space that they want to go. We can go back to the past. We can see this corporation, hundreds of years earlier, perhaps, at its creation, and see the seeds being planted for where we'll be in that movie someday in the future. It's like a masterclass in building a franchise.
That's so good. Yeah. And I think to that point, like what he does really well is to tell a scoped story. I just there's not this sprawling constant referencing. It's a scoped story. It's specific. It doesn't let its tentacles run in a million directions. And oddly, that's what we want. That's what we so we can connect deeply for this episode. Ready for the next one where we'll tell another scope story. Like I remember Prey feeling so grounded and so like I understood everything about this world. And now similarly in Predator Badlands, there's a new world, a new story, a new protagonist, and we stay there. We don't run in a million directions and try and like cross-reference everything else all at once. So his ability to telescope story, almost the confidence too to telescope story and not cheapen it with the reference in a million directions, is really working to his advantage. Yeah.
And to your point of confidence in its core characters, because this film doesn't really go away from them. Like a lesser film, to your point, a less confident film, or a less confident script may have spent more time leaving Deck and Thea to go spend more time with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and seeing what they're up to on the planet. Like we cut away to Tessa a couple of times where we have like it's focused on Tessa's moment in the story, but it's rare. I think 93% of this movie we are with Deck and or Thea, and really confident the way it stays right there.
You just gave me a little nightmare, Kris. I'm just like imagining a world where this turned into like a limited series on Disney Plus, and like half the episodes drag because we're like stuck in the corporate offices with a plot line that's going nowhere. Oof.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it'll be like just enough to know that they want this Callisk because of its regenerative abilities, and that's like just enough. A lesser film would have spent time talking more about that, about the interest of the scientists on Earth and all that stuff.
It really feels like they got to see what went a little bit wrong at times with The Mandalorian and be like, let's just keep it to this one movie.
Which is, that's one of the things that's wild to me about Predator Badlands, is that we don't have this like studio involvement to like MCU-ify the Predator universe. You know what I mean? Like we don't see an alien in this, you know, like the Weyland-Yutani Corporation is all we get as a reference to Alien. And that fits perfectly in this story. So I think it's maybe like a minor miracle that we don't have the studio in with its gross evil corporate tentacles trying to make this into something that it shouldn't be, that audiences don't want.
We don't even see like a xenomorph skull or anything at all.
Yes. I was expecting to, actually. I was kind of waiting for it. I was like, we're going to get some rustle in the bushes somewhere as one runs by. And I'm like, we made it. Yeah. It ignites respect, I think, that we have to the film, that it trusts us, that we don't need that. We don't need the cheap, fuzzy feeling reference. Like, look, I know I'm in on the joke. Like I'm in with the no. It's like, just tell me a good story and I will show up for you every time and time again. If you just tell a good, strong story, it doesn't overcomplicate anything either. Like, I think to your point, Randy, we don't get a whole backstory around the scientists and why they're trying to regenerate. They also don't blow up they're not trying to plan for world domination. We already know that. So their mission is simple. Go get the creatures. That's it. And then there's some creatures that don't want to be gotten. So that's the movie, you know? And it is as simple as that, which is really refreshing. But I do think that the action sequences help make this simple story shine. I think if the action was weak, it'd start to drag a little bit. So the scene that I'm curious for everybody, which action scene really like got you going, adrenaline pumping, scratching all of the parts in your brain that are like, oh, I'm so here for this. For me, it was the tree vine scene. It's, I think, one of the first early like big action set pieces, but I just thought it done an amazing job of giving us a big explosive moment and then a moment to breathe and a moment to create tension. So we get some like shots, POV of the pointy spears. We get to see things in the background, and then the moment explodes again. And it was incredibly musical in that way. There's kind of this constant like creating of tension, releasing of tension, creating of tension, releasing of tension, which I thought worked really well. And there's a constant awareness of where the foes are in relationship to Deck as well. So we're seeing him, we see things looming in the background, and the moment turns, the camera turns, and we get to see the confrontation. And so I thought that was just geniusly constructed. He's using music, he's using the beats all really well. It was like symphonic in a way. Lydia Tarr would be proud to conduct this action sequence.
I love that.
Yeah. What about y'all? What are some of the action scenes that worked really well or you thought were particularly well done?
Well, I'll just jump right in and tell
Yeah.
you that I did love that Vine sequence. It was, to your point, tremendously paced. It was exciting. It was engaging. But mostly for me, it was the little Disney's Tarzan reference right at the very, very end, where he perches upon the cliff and lets the snapping tendril come just close enough to his face. Um,
So good.
Never not thinking about Disney's Tarzan. So, but I think the action set piece for me that was most successful. I mean, it was pretty incredible watching Bud roll through the bladed grass and watching Deck have to try to figure
Hmm.
that out for himself. But if I'm going to talk about a Killisk action scene, that first fight with the Killisk, when you think for our character, this is the thing that he's been waiting for. This is the
Yeah.
climactic battle. And while the film has other ideas, and we'll learn as we go on that this is far from the climactic battle, it serves like a climactic battle. It has all the right beats of that
Hmm.
last fight. Your hero is in control. He's disadvantaged. He triumphed. Oh shit, he hasn't
So good.
triumphed at all. It had all these wonderful ups and downs of a great action sequence in that way. When that Killisk head reattached to its body,
Yeah.
I had a very much, oh fuck, what are you going to do now type of moment. Like, I know you're not going to die because it's your movie, but really, sir, what are you going to do? Excellent action sequence.
So good. So good.
I will say this about the vines.
Yeah.
They definitely successfully kept me from asking, like, why doesn't he go back for his weapons? That thought never crossed my mind after that sequence.
Yeah.
No, but for me, it was the final infiltration. Although with the caveat
Oh.
of until the giant mech rolls in, then we're a little
Yeah.
bit off the rails for me. But up until that moment, not only is it the reveal of the kick-ass mask, he looks so cool
So
in that
cool.
moment, ripping through everyone. Uh, I don't know if they needed as much of the pants gag, but I got a kick out of it, especially when he was just using it as a distraction at first. It was
Yeah.
pretty hilarious. But no, it was just that was like the action that felt the most real to me, because at other times I was having a hard time looking past the CGI of it all. Not that it was like bad, just like my suspension of disbelief was not working as well. So like to physically be interacting with those synthetics, fighting them one on one. And one of my favorite shots is when he's that creating that final distraction. He's down on his knees, letting that army form, and he's laid the trap for them, and he's just sitting in this peaceful stance. It's maybe like his most Predator moment. And as silly as the little leechy guy on his shoulder was to set off the explosives,
Yeah.
I love the overall look and feel of that moment.
That was the one thing for me, that little guy initially, like, all right, he fed him the things, but he now has trained him. They're like symbiotically connected. This thing is it knows just what the mission is. That thing understood the assignment in a
Yeah.
very unbelievable way. But
They're
Randy,
BFFs.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
an unbreakable bond. Yeah.
tight bond.
Yeah.
Listen, whoever feeds you, you will be loyal to time and time again.
You will
Mhm.
spit acidic venom at their enemies if they feed you. I love that you called out the kneeling, Randy. It was like the samurai moment, right? Like, there
Yeah.
he was, this calm, poised samurai in that moment.
Hmm.
Sarah, what about you? Round us out.
Yeah, I was going to say the Kalisk battle, like Kris.
Nice.
I loved that moment, but to have a little bit of differentiation, I will shout out the showdown between Deck and his dad.
Mm.
I really loved how that kind of subverted my expectations, and
Mm.
what I really loved about that scene is actually what happens before they start fighting, in that there's no like emotional outpouring from Deck. We know that he is changed because we've watched him go on this journey, but he hasn't changed too much that it's unbelievable. I believe that he now understands that he has these two friends that he has made, and he
Yeah.
understands the importance of that friendship. But he also knows that if he's going to come back here, he needs to take out his dad. And so I thought that was a really brilliant way to show his character growth in a way that I'm bought into it and I believe it. Plus, the fight is really cool. I love that his dad tries the whole like cloak maneuver, and Deck is like, nah, dude, I got you, and uses the dust against him so that he can see
sick.
him. So all of those little bits, and we see how Deck has grown emotionally, but he's also grown in his fighting skills also. So we believe that now he can take down his dad when his brother, who was the better fighter, couldn't at the beginning of the film. So I bought it. I believed it. Had a great time.
And the beautiful poetic symmetry of stabbing through his dad's hand, taking his dad's arm, all of that beautiful symmetry with his brother Quay's death.
And just the revelation that this storied father, even father is scared of the Kalisk, all this stuff. He's just a coward in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you were the right brother after all. Like, let's be buds. Like, that must have been so extra satisfying for Deck to just be like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
nice try.
I was pretty surprised by that. I really was.
Yeah.
I thought that father was about to take the honorable death, and his last words were going to be, "Oh, maybe you did. Maybe I did let the right brother live." No, I was shocked by his cowardice. Shocked by his willingness to bargain in that moment,
and in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was so poetic too that the Kalisk Bud, grown-up Bud, is the one that takes out the dad's head too.
Yeah.
Just from behind. One big bite, and what a slay. You know, Deck comes back like, I did not defeat the Kalisk. I actually am friends with the Kalisk. So joke's on you, you know.
Nice.
Yeah. Bud hit a growth spurt on the trip from Ghana.
He did. He's now a teenager. Went through puberty.
I am Groot.
Yes. She. I keep saying he. Bud is a she. We were told, right?
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like we're going to get a new movie. This one seemed to land well for all of us. Any other final thoughts before we wrap up and take us to the end here about Predator Badlands?
You know, I'll take this chance just to register my one complaint with the film. One real, like, almost ruin the movie for me complaint.
Oh, okay.
Not really, but I hate that Mama Kalisk had to die in the end.
Yeah.
We could have achieved Deck getting the head of his kill, his trophy, differently. The film had resolved. Like, we could get 3 more sentences from Tessa. Like, we get to have that one moment with Tessa and Thea. That had been achieved. Their sister had already been broken. Like, we didn't need the verbal breaking of their sisterhood. It was just like this stab in the heart. Maybe they felt they hadn't killed enough characters throughout this Predator movie, right? Like, normally Predator is like an exercise in losing characters over the course of the film. I hated that. I didn't want her to die at all. Not even a little. I didn't want Bud to have that loss in her little life. It didn't feel as story driven as something like that should be. So
it was like an emotional gut punch without the like meaning and the growth for Bud. And
not to mention the second she went in, I was like waiting for her to burst out of the belly or whatever. But they let just enough time pass for me to be like, okay, thank goodness we're not dealing with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I also thought that she was good. We did it, guys. There was this moment, and then what? Bits pieces flying in every direction. I wonder if they're setting up something with the next movie. I don't know. That's my thought. Is like, there's this emotional tie now with Bud. He loses his mother. The ending scene, the large ship. What is that? Dex says it's his mother. Like, I don't know if there's something with mothers that's coming in the next movie.
Okay. All right. You may save it for me.
I still think it's the right choice, but could be setting up something.
Just in my last little shout out is just shout out to the weapon set. They did a nice job showing me that like time has passed in the Predator timeline as well. Like it felt like they didn't fall into that pattern of like, oh, this advanced society has not advanced at all in these hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So
that was great.
Very cool.
Yeah, my shout out is to the music. Man, especially at the beginning, that start where you're hearing this, what I have now learned is Mongolian, from a Mongolian metal band, which
Oh,
is so cool.
cool. Whoa.
But just that start and that sound, I was like, yes, I am here for this. I don't care
Yeah.
what journey we're going on. I am locked in. So all throughout the music and the way that these guttural tones just like drew me into this world, and also felt so right for Predator.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
It was giving me Dune 2. I'm so glad you shouted that
Yeah.
out, because it caught my ear as
Yeah.
well right in the very beginning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to Dune 2, there's some scenes where he's fighting or he's like he's on a mission, and you hear these like voices. It's almost like these spirits and I don't know, the forest, the world is alive that he's in on Gemma. And the soundtrack is like these like rhythmic, like hazy voices that are like mixed in with the music as well. That was they do that a lot in the recent Dune movies too, of like these ethereal voices like wafting through the air. So good. All right. Well, this was our review and discussion of Predator Badlands. We had lots of good things to say about it. Some things that maybe could have been a little bit different, but on the whole, great time at the movies. Go watch this out in theaters. Honestly, this is a movie that you should not wait to watch on streaming at home, because like we mentioned, like the sound effect design was so good. You need to see this on a giant screen. Don't you want to go to Gemma and like see the razor grass, So go watch this out in theaters. We need to get more butts and seats in theaters as well. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Movies and Us. Big thank you to you both, Randy and Kris, for joining us to talk about Predator Badlands. Where can people find more of y'all on the internet if they want to connect with you? If they want to go check out Media Lit as well.
Yeah, so if you want to check out Kris and I together, you can search for Media Lit Pod, and you can get us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us over on YouTube. Kris and I recently started yet another podcast venture together. This is with our buddies at the Pop Break Digital Culture magazine. I've been doing a music podcast over there for a couple of years now. We did the discography of The Police. We did the discography of Black Sabbath. And now I have taken the reins to walk my buddy Kris and my buddy Justin through the discography of Beck Hansen, my personal favorite musician. Justin's going to be so excited to hear about this Mongolian metal band. He honestly probably knows their entire catalog already. But yeah, so those are two of the best places to find us. But maybe Kris will tell you about yet another sub project we built in Media Lit.
Ooh, tell us.
Yeah, I will take that ball and run with it. Randy and I have had the great pleasure of joining fellow Pop Break podcaster Tyler McCarthy of Not Couple Goals to launch what we're calling Remedial Rewatch Community 101. We're all going back to community college, and we are watching Community. For me, the first time. For Randy and Tyler, a full-on rewatch. And so I'm your monthly newbie. They're your monthly diehards, and we are going semester by semester, dropping monthly podcasts, exploring the entirety of the series. So you'll find that within the Media Lit feed, but look out for a special title.
Grab a bagel and join us.
Yeah, please. Calling all human beings, come and join us for Remedial Rewatch.
That's awesome. There's so many different series and shows, and I don't know how you do it, but we'll include all of that in the show notes where you can connect more with Randy and Kris. I just think their premise for Media Lit Pod is like really incredible. Just thinking about how we take pieces of media, all forms as well, and explore the depths and the themes and what that means and what that says about us as humans. It's awesome. So we love it. All right. Well, our name, Movies and Us, sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. Very much Media Lit-esque as well. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you tune to your favorite shows. drop us a rating and review, letting us know what was your favorite action scene from Predator Badlands as well. We shared some of ours. Let us know what yours is. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at moviesnestpod, or email us at moviesnestpod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on Movies Nest and our other podcasts, TV and Us, where we're reviewing The Sopranos right now, which is very fun. We will be back next week to discuss a 2003 film. This is part of our prep for the 2003 Oscar Years Revisionist Almanac episode with Andrew Corns. They don't make movies like Master and Commander anymore, and I mourn for it. Although Del Toro's Frankenstein's out now, so like we're getting something-esque. Real sets, practical effects. It's amazing. In the meantime, we hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.